This episode of Inside Voices is sponsored by Lecky Scotland. You can build inquisitive and positive mindsets towards maths with Primary Maths for Scotland. It's a whole school scheme developed specifically for Curriculum for Excellence. With teacher guides, textbooks, assessment packs, it provides everything that teachers need. You can find out more about this by visiting leckyscotland.co.uk. Welcome back to another episode of Inside Voices, a teacher podcast made by teachers for teachers. I'm your host, David.
And I'm Laura.
And remember, in here, we use our inside voices. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had a relaxing Christmas and New Year break and you're ready to go again in the new year. We're going to be reflecting on the past year and looking at New Year's resolutions and how that impacts our teaching. Let's kick things off, Laura. Have you completed any New Year's resolutions from last year? Let's reflect back a little bit. How did they go this year?
I don't think I actually made any New Year's resolutions because there's probably no point because I don't stick to them.
Oh no. Episode finished.
I was thinking about that. Obviously you maybe asking more specifically about teaching, but obviously one of the things...
No, I'm interested in personal as well.
One of the things this year that's been a massive change for us has to be the social media side of things. Totally, I would say unexpected, but I think we've spoken about how we started this whole podcast and the social media and the TikTok and Instagram, all of that. I think we've briefly touched on how this started, but it was in the September last year that we started making products on Teachers Pay Teachers, and then we made the TikTok pages as an idea to try and push
in February the
products, although I had made one. It's actually still out there because I forgot the password.
Yeah, if you want to go and find it, that positive teacher.
I forgot the password to the account, and it's truly got one video on it, and it's dreadful. It's so bad, but I can't get my password to get logged back into it, so it's still out there somewhere. Anyway, I made that one as a bit of a joke and then forgot the password. Then we made these ones and it kind of...
And then you deleted it again.
But it's been a bit... See, when you actually sit and think about it, it's actually been quite a wild ride. It's been absolutely crazy. We were looking back at messages the other day. I was looking for some stats on something. I can't remember what I was actually looking for. Oh, I do remember. I was looking to figure out my timeline of when I hit certain milestones for a post, and I knew I would have sent it to you, so I searched for it. And I remember you sent a message in February or March, and you were saying, I just really want 1,000 followers so that I can, when you get 1,000 followers on TikTok, you get a clickable link in your bio. That's the treat. That's the thing you get for 1,000 followers. And you're like, I just really want 1,000 followers. That's all I'm wanting to get. And then now it's just, and the same when I was looking for the summer ones. In summer, we were talking about setting goals and things. You're like, I want to try and get 10,000 followers by the summer. Yeah. And it's just taken off. So that has to be something that's totally, it wasn't necessarily a resolution because it wasn't a goal I had in mind in January.
Not at all.
But it's changed so much for both of us.
I'd say it's unreal. The one thing, I don't know, maybe apart from starting teaching, it's probably the one thing personally that's changed the structure of our lives.
Yeah. There's a whole other side to education and teaching that
has been opened up to us that we didn't know.
Yeah, been that we've been shown from it. I said, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but obviously we wouldn't have done this podcast without it. Yeah. We've got to interview so many amazing people. We've got to meet loads of new people, but also been in touch with different companies and different brands and learned that whole side of things, which we typically wouldn't have. I also think it's totally pushed me to be a better teacher and try other things. And
okay, she's getting cheesy, but
but it has though, because not just because it would be superficial to sit and say, it's so that we've got content to post. It's not that. It's that from doing this you open up discussions with other people that make you think, that would be like the maths episode with Craig Lowther. He said so many things. I was like, that's a great idea, so I can implement that, I can do that. And it's like we're doing this but we're also learning from it as well. So what's
your favourite bit? So we started the podcast in September.
Yes.
Yeah, September. What's been your favourite moment
in the podcast?
Yeah, of just filming. It doesn't even have to be an episode. It can just be filming.
Do you know what I think about? How different. See that first episode? Yeah. If you are listening to this and you go back to listen to our first episode, it's not formal, but we rehearsed that episode. When I tell you we practiced it we had a meeting beforehand. We practiced it pretty much word for word, knew exactly what we'd say. We listened to it back on our phones. We're like, no, don't say that sentence, say this sentence. Like, we actually had almost like a performance, and I was sat in the chair like,
I don't think I moved a muscle.
I didn't move, and it wasn't like it was a conversation, but not really. And then to now, it's so different. And I think now, probably, I mean, our listeners might listen to this and go, you're talking nonsense, I preferred it the other way. But I think you get a bit more of our personality through, and you can kind of hear that it's more of a conversation now. So I would say that's probably been the best thing in it. My favourite moment
was when that fly landed in the studio.
There was truly a fly the size of a horse. Like, it was
so we were like filming. I don't remember what episode it was, but we were filming away.
I think it was the Halloween one, possibly. It was
I think it was after that. We were filming away, and I think I screamed or something. I was like,
no, I was watching it fly behind you. So we sit opposite each other. If you're listening to this, we sit opposite each other, and it was like buzzing around your head, and you were talking about something quite important. I was like tracking this fly with just a look of disgust, and you were
and I was like, is that fly just landed on my head?
Is there something on my face? I'm like, no.
Because we're looking, like you can tell when someone's looking at your hair, or like looking. And I was like, what is it? What is it under my head? And it was a fly the size of a dog. But no, I would agree that this has changed our lives in so many ways. You're right. It's opened up so many doors. Like, we didn't really have an eye into what companies want from education as well, and like the people behind these decisions, and the processes and the legal teams and the departments and
it's intense.
It's intense, but it's also like they're still just people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have no education background at all. A lot of them are publishing background, or a lot of them are like social media background or media or marketing and stuff. And so when they come to you, it's like you're the expert all of a sudden. You're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it's a wee bit of like imposter syndrome going on.
Oh, definitely. And I think, I know I put this disclaimer out there all the time in the podcast that we don't sit here and pretend we know everything.
Yeah.
Like, we definitely don't. But it's a good opportunity to share what we do know. We're not sitting here saying, we are experts in the field, we know everything about education, we know all there is to know. Of course not. And, there'll be people out there who probably do think that we're sitting talking absolute tatties on here, and they're no idea why we're doing it. But
absolute tatties.
I was going to say something else, but you're not allowed to say it on here.
I was like,
that's going to need cut out.
Absolute tatties.
Can't put that in. Talking mince
and tatties, right?
Talking mince and tatties. But no, it's been, you're right, it's been something that's totally changed. It has totally changed our lives, basically. I mean,
I know, not to get cheesy, but it
not to get
has.
cheesy or superficial, but
yeah, and hopefully it keeps going.
We've both now had awkward situations. I say awkward situations, they're not awkward, they're just awkward because I'm awkward, where people have come up and said, oh, I listened to the podcast, or I watched your videos in public, and I'm sorry if you're one of those, if you're listening to this and you're one of those people that's come up to me and I've had a really awkward response. I am truly sorry.
Yep.
I am very grateful that you listen and for you coming up and saying hi, but I just don't yet know how to respond to it.
I know, because we kind of just like freeze and be like,
I said, thank you so much, that's so nice of you.
Thanks, that's great.
I don't have anything else to say.
We don't like ask any questions. Yeah,
I know, we need to get better at that, so sorry. But no, that has been something that's come from the year that's been pretty wild, I would say.
So thinking forward into 2024, which is just absolutely frightening that we're there already.
It's still 2016 in my head.
Oh, 100%.
I actually mentally couldn't get past 2012 when the world was going to end.
Of course.
The Mayan calendar said the world was going to end in 2012.
And that movie came out. But also, it's 2019 in my head. Like, it's still pre-COVID. I'm 23 and I haven't moved on since that point. I don't know if you feel like that.
Yeah.
We can talk about that at length, I suppose. When it comes to New Year, lots of people set personal goals, New Year's resolutions. Never been a one for a resolution myself.
No.
I set them last year, completely failed. My last year's New Year's resolution was to go to the gym more, and I've not been to the gym less more than this year.
You did go for quite a long time, to be fair.
No, but I used to go really consistently. And then 2 months before the summer, was the only time I went this year. And I really feel gross. But so maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution this year. But when it comes to goal setting professionally and personally, I know you say do not really do New Year's resolutions, but obviously you have like professional goals that you want to reach. And we've spoken about that in the past. How do you go about that? Like, what do you do? Do you sit down and go, okay, I want to be this by this year and I want to do this by that year? Or do you just think more general aims? And
Yeah, I think more general, because if I were to sit down and say, right, I want to have this done by this time, and then when I don't achieve that, I would just beat myself up about it, because I want to be at this point by February, and then things happen and things get put in the way of that, and other things crop up, and you don't end up getting to that point by February. I'm the type of person that sits there and goes,
it's never going to happen.
like womp womp,
Yeah.
she's really sad about it, but I'd prefer, like you said, general sort of goals of how can I improve. And I think it's a nice time of year to also sit and think. I was thinking that your class come back completely different after the Christmas holidays. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I probably noticed it more so with the younger ones. But obviously with sevens, it's a bit different because they come back with the mindset of, right, high school's coming.
Yep.
Whereas with the younger ones, especially with the stage I'm at, it's probably taken me till October to really have my routines down solid.
Yep.
Like, really have it drilled the way I want to do it. Like, everything the way we want it. Then you get to November and the routine goes out the window and everyone forgets all of the things you've drilled.
Yep.
But it's like when Christmas is over, they come back in, you see a totally different side of them. Like, I see them less as kind of younger, lower school students that I've been training to be upper school students. And when they come back, I'm like, you guys are upper school now. Like, I notice such a big difference in them from that time, and
which is bizarre because it's only like 2 weeks.
It's so strange. I think it's just because all the Christmas madness is gone, and they come back, and you're like, right, okay, this is what it's like to have this class without all this hype and craziness and singing and shows and all of that. But I do think you get a completely different side of them when they come back, and you said the structure's back, they know the routines well, and you can really focus on kind of curriculum content, but also that I feel like I'm a bit more chilled out when they know all of the routines. Like, obviously early on they kind of get the morning starters and how all of that works, but I'm talking like, I don't need to say, it doesn't take you 15 minutes to write your date and title, come on, we gotta go quicker than this. Like, all of those wee things that just you don't have to repeat over and over again. It makes me a more positive person. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, personally, you obviously set goals every year with your management team, and you do your kind of professional review. PRD, what does that stand for?
Professional review
development.
Doodah. I don't know. It's probably not even professional
review. No.
Practitioner review? Doodah?
Professional. What does that stand for?
Something development, surely.
I just know that it's a meeting that you have and you talk about yourself.
Review, that doesn't make any sense.
Development. Discourse. I don't know. Anyway, you do your PRD and you have that meeting.
It's another acronym. This is the thing with acronyms. No one knows what they actually stand for.
So you have that meeting and you obviously set your goals for the year. Whether your management want to give you those goals or you have those yourself, that's kind of up to that meeting. And obviously you set those goals for your professional, but then you have like your long-term goals as well.
Yeah.
And I think personally the podcast has changed my long-term goals slightly. I don't know about you, whether you see it going in a different direction or you see it opening up any avenues, I'm not sure. But you have that kind of long-term aspect of where you want to be in 10 years or where you want to be in 20 years. I'd always, when I first started teaching, thought management head teacher.
Yeah.
Was that your?
I thought that because that's what I was kind of conditioned to think.
Yeah.
Not conditioned in a bad way, but I just always thought it's hard to see progress, I think, in teaching. Because say you were working out in corporate or another role, you could be team leader.
Yeah.
Then you could be manager. Then you could be director. Then you could be company director. Like, you can go up the ladder in the same role so many different ways. Whereas in teaching, it's kind of teacher, principal teacher, deputy head teacher.
Yeah.
You got those, that's your pigeonholes, that's what you've got. So it's a bit different. And I think in my head, I'm just thinking, right, you always want to be making progress. And that's probably just my sort of flaw in thinking. You always want to be making progress. You always want to be bettering yourself. You always want to be doing more. So my head was just, management, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to go do. But I don't know if that was just me sitting thinking that is the next step and you always need to take the next step. You don't always need to take the next step. Yeah. Progress comes in teaching. It doesn't need to come from a change of your role.
Yeah.
Your progress comes from your delivery of the curriculum, how you teach, your routines, your management of the classroom. That's your progress. It's not a role change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so a lot of your goal setting for a year or for 2 years or for 3 years might even be, I want to be a better teacher at X.
XYZ, yeah.
I want to be a better practitioner and doing this. For example, I want to be better at communicating with parents, or I want to be better at marking my homework on time, or I want to be a more joyful teacher. I don't want to be someone that's moaning about my job all the time. You know, those are personal goals that we can set as well, and we do set those quite regularly. Have you got one, would you say, for 2024 before the summer, like just like last couple of terms, professionally, in what way do you want to be like a better teacher?
Oh, I just need to be more organised. This will probably surprise...
You're speaking to the organised educator.
Yeah, I know. This will surprise people because I'm not disorganised in the way that I ever miss... Like, I don't miss deadlines or anything like that. I'm organised in that sense. But I am just...
Her desk is a riot.
I know, I'm sorry. I mean that in the way that I put things in places, don't remember where I've put them, and then I'm scrambling to try and find them. I'm like, sort yourself out. So I actually started today, I was like cleaning my desk. So I had this like 24 pens on my desk by my laptop just sprawled around, as you do. So I'm like, no, put a little pen tub in and actually keep yourself organised. Little things. I said, don't ever lose anything important. But I mean, I was clearing out my cupboard the other day and I found something from when we taught together, which was truly 2 years ago.
That's frightening.
Like a single piece of paper. Where was it? On my desk. That's how messy my desk is. It was on my desk.
No, your desk actually does give me the fear.
Yeah.
It's got its own orbit. Like it pulls things in.
Things gravitate towards me.
Anytime I like go to it and I'm like, can I get a post-it?
The worst part is I don't even sit there. I don't even sit at that desk.
Yeah, you just dump things
because
on
my the way my class is orientated is my desk is kind of in the corner, like right at the side. So if I sat there, I wouldn't be able to see anybody. Yeah. And I feel like it's a really tight space. So if I'm marking jotters, I just sit at jotters. I should say that. I hate the fact I don't pronounce T's in here. It sounds really bad. But if I was marking jotters, I sit at their desks because I've got way more space and I can be messy. I've got room to be messy. But I would like to be that person who has a file and a folder for everything.
Type A teacher.
And just knows where it all is. I don't know if that would actually improve my practice or just make me feel better about things. Like I was doing that craft and I bought shrink paper on Amazon. Mm-hmm. This is because I was tired, to be fair. And then I got home and I was like, oh, I've put that shrink paper in the bin because I thought the Amazon package was empty and it was sitting on like my stairs or something. I've put it in the bin. Or I obviously did not accept the blame. I blamed my husband because obviously it's his fault. Yeah. And then I ordered more, opened my cupboard to put it away, and there was the paper sat there that I'd already brought in. So little things like that. I feel like if I had a place to put things and didn't just have everything on the shelves,
so
from
your aim for this year
tie-dye bottles to shrink paper, I'd be able to find things.
To Barbies.
To Barbies.
So your aim is to be like less chaotic energy, more organised, everything
more
in its place.
More clean girl aesthetic.
And do you know what they call that now? They call it like beige girl.
Oh, I don't want to be beige.
No, but this is what Gen Alphas are calling it. It's like the beige aesthetic where everything's like, what's that person who's like Tommy Fury? What's she called?
Molly
May and all that. It's like her. You got to be like her.
I don't think I'll ever reach that level, but just a little bit more organised might help.
Okay.
So I don't know if it would improve my teaching practice, but it might.
No, it definitely doesn't. I'm like that. And like I have a place for everything and I spend a lot of time tidying up.
He does spend a lot of time. He cleans his desk every week.
When the children are working sometimes. I'm
but
like,
he
my desk is messy.
He actually sprays his desk every week.
No, I've stopped doing that. I've actually stopped doing that.
I cleaned my desk for the first time in about 4 months today.
It is kind of gross. I do it. Do you know what? I do it every couple of weeks or do it before like a holiday. I'll get like the sprays out and clean up. That is one thing that I have to do. Just I don't know why. It doesn't make me a better teacher. It just makes life a little bit easier. But my goal, I think, for up until June, up until end of June, I just want to like be a little bit happier. That's not to be like deep,
I like how I'm talking about putting things away and he wants to be happier.
But not like deep, like, oh, happiness and all that. Like, I just want to stop moaning. I feel, do you never just stop yourself at work and you're like, I literally have moaned all day to the children. I've moaned to staff members. I've moaned to like everyone that will listen to me. And it's not like, why are you moaning? Like, shut up.
I just kind of accepted, I was like this. And then I just sort of accepted, you know what? Why am I making myself
Yeah.
Like I'm the only one making a big deal out of it.
Also, so, no one cares.
Yeah, but as you know, today we were doing art, and I'm like, I could have spent all that afternoon moaning about it because it was so loud, and I was like, do you know what? We're filming this in December, so I know it's a January episode, but it's nearly Christmas. They're doing artwork. You don't need to moan about the noise level because obviously they're excited. Like, just chill out. And I find myself kind of just catching myself saying, you're just raising your own stress levels.
Totally.
And I do think they're being honest with them and just saying, like, I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes moaning at you, so can you just listen to what I'm asking and do it? And they kind of go, right, okay, yeah. Yeah,
and I think my kind of aim is, if someone asks me, how's your day going, not to be like, well, it's Tuesday.
It's nearly Friday.
Yeah, and not be like constantly aiming for the weekend, but actually to just like slow down and just be like, no, I actually do love my job. Yeah, I actually do love my job. And like, if anyone asks me, I'll say I love my job, but then I'm not actually practicing that day to day.
I don't like a Tuesday though, to be fair. I don't like Tuesdays.
Yeah, we'll still keep Tuesdays for a moment.
Tuesday's not the vibe.
I actually don't mind a Tuesday.
See, I don't like a Tuesday.
I hate Thursdays.
You're saying you're going to be more positive, but I'm like, Monday I can get through. Monday, I quite like a Monday. People probably think that's really strange, but I actually do enjoy a Monday because I feel you've got so many routines on a Monday that you get through. But Tuesday, I'm always tired on a Tuesday.
So to kind of pivot to your class, obviously we kind of set personal goals, and we'll talk about like a proper like long-term personal goal in a second when we come back to it. But for your class, how are you going to enhance your teaching this year? Like, how are you going to make your student experience, so not just your desk is tidy, and maybe even a tip for someone else, like listening, like one thing that they could do to enhance the student experience? Like, is there any exciting projects you've got coming up, or is there any new methods you want to try out, or anything you want to like test out and see if that works?
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of next year is probably going to be about stopping saying that I'm, when I'm speaking about, I always say art because it's my weak point. It's the point that I don't feel confident with, and I'd always let that kind of hold me back. And I know it's something that I've got coming up for teaching, and I think my aim for this time is to put more effort myself into those things and learn how to do those things that I'm not that confident with, so I can enhance their experiences and things. If there's anything I've learned from doing this podcast, it's that actually if you put a little bit of effort into learning these things, I mean, I'm not going to be Picasso, it's not going to happen, but I will be able to understand certain aspects of that curricular area to support the students and enhancing their experience, instead of kind of shying away from it and saying, oh, well, I'm not very good at it, so I'll just do like a couple of weeks of it and that'll be fine. Like, actually making sure that I'm sort of considering the fact there's 30 children in there and some of them are really artistic and love those things, and pushing myself out of my comfort zone in that sense, instead of sticking with what I know, maybe trying. Because I think when you've been teaching for a while as well, you also sort of stick. I've noticed that more so this year, I would say you stick with what you know. Mm-hmm. And you kind of find yourself going, oh, I've done that last year, so I'll just do it again. Oh, I did that I've done that a few years ago, so I'll just do it again. And whilst that's great because you've got things up your sleeve and like a bank of ideas,
totally,
I do find myself now being like, right, okay, I don't need to do that again. I could try something different. So I don't want to stay in that same cycle of, oh, I've done that and it worked, I've done that and it worked, I've done that and it worked. So I've tried to start doing that now, but definitely trying to think of constantly sort of bettering my practice and staying up to date with it and sort of challenging my own teaching.
Yeah, this is like a rare occasion you're going to get a compliment out of me. Like, this is like buckle up, because I actually have one brewing, and it's going to take me a moment to actually you're actually
no. Wait, I'm going to just crop you saying I've got one brewing. I'm just going to cut that, put that on TikTok.
I've got one brewing. Yeah, you're actually really good. No, when I first started in the school, I was quite impressed with how many like new things you did all the time.
Yeah.
Like you knew about all the Microsoft learning stuff. Like, you were up on the iPads, you knew the apps that were going on. Like, we'd started at the same time, and I was like, she knows so many websites. She had like MathSpot going, I'd never heard of it. There was just so many things that you were doing in the class, and I was like, obviously I just started as like pupil support when I first came in, so I was like, she knows all these different, like, you knew where the CPD was that you wanted to go to. I hadn't a clue what I wanted to do with like CPD, am I saying that? CLPL, CPD. You were looking at me as if I wasn't saying it right.
It's because I was going to say something that's like to totally interrupt what you're saying, but
well, I'm kind of finished because I don't have much more compliment in me.
It's not got it in him.
But that impressed me, like when I first. So that's interesting that you're saying that you've gone away from that now.
I think it's just more when you get comfortable with your teaching.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be comfortable. That sounds really strange. People are probably like, why would you not want to be comfortable in what you do? But I do, because I want to be comfortable and confident in my abilities, but I don't want to be comfortable in the fact that I'm doing the same things every year. That's why I quite like changing stages though as well. Like this is the first year I've stayed in the same stage back to back. And although it's only been a slight difference, like
you did 7 2 years in a row.
6, well, I was a 7-6 and then a 7.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
sorry.
Listen, it's like a slight change, like a tiny little change, but enough to kind of keep you on your toes a wee bit. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is the first year like that it's been the exact same stage, 4 and 4. And I've kind of found myself like going, I could just do that or I could try something else. I could just do that or I could try something else because I don't want it to just be recycled that my class from last year look over and go, oh, we did that as well. Yeah. Like I want to try and keep myself going with
you
different things. And
like you get things that you're like, I'm going to do this for a couple of years because the kids love it. Like you get your lessons that the children that come into your class want from you as well because they've heard about it in previous years. But you're right, I think you do need to switch it up and change quite often, otherwise you become stagnant as well.
You don't need to change everything. Like you said, you don't need to change it all, but you do need to change bits of it. And I just don't want to be kind of box myself in to say, right, you've always got to do this the same way. You know, you can switch it up and grow. And I think that's probably something I'm looking to do. I mean, I've started doing it, but definitely as I go into the next year, I don't want to slip into, we'll just do things the same way as last year.
And we've done that a lot in the last couple of years, not by our choice, but like at the council that we work in have brought in new writing or we've done new maths approaches. So we've kind of been doing it by proxy in terms of the approaches that we're using. So that I suppose is maybe fed into it as well because you're taking a lot of the energy that you were doing personally and now it's like it's been not forced upon you, but it has been given to you this time. Like you need to change this because we're all doing it.
And I find when it's something like that, I find it really hard to pick up. Like when we first changed the writing, it took me so long to get that into my head.
Agreed.
But I don't know if that's just...
That was a big one though.
Teachers do not make good listeners and learners because it is so true. Like we don't... Like I sat there and I'm like, I can't... What's going on? What day is it? I don't know. And it took me a really long time to get that into my head. Yeah. Even though now I see it and I still don't feel like I 100% get it, but I'm getting there with the change of writing. If anyone uses Talk for Writing, please feel free to give me some pointers because I think there's just so much in it that you're never going to know everything anyway, but it's hard to, and I'm the kind of person that I really like to just get it right away, but when it's something that I don't, I'm like, oh, come on, you can do it. One.
So like you're talking like New Year kind of goals and stuff. Obviously we're talking about like what you could do in the classroom to change things up. We've spoken about art and things like that, but is there any new like innovations you want to bring in? So when I'm thinking about that, you went on that robotics course, which is something I've never done. I don't know anything about it. Are you going to bring that in? Is that a goal? Or like we've got the 3D printer sitting in the school that we've never used.
Yeah, we need to try that.
Because we can't get the software sorted for it. But that is something for me this year. And that cannot just sit and not get used. That is too good a resource to just sit there on its own. Like we need to get into that just for the children's sake of it, and because I think it's dead cool. Is there anything that you want to just like dip into technology wise, try out?
I think, and it might, I want to look at more kind of I'll let you cough. I think I want to look at more kind of science in a sense of experimental science. That depends on what your topic is in science, I suppose, but looking at IDL and how I can mix things through IDL. I would love to give the children more sort of experience with practical science instead of just, we're learning about energy and here's what we're going to do. And I just feel like my science, even though there's so much out there you could be doing for it, is very much, it's not as hands-on as I'd like it to be. It's not as practical as I'd like it to be. So I think about, we had a STEM day and we had somebody in showing them how to extract DNA from strawberries.
Oh, it was so good, wasn't it?
But that surprised me, all the sort of things that go with practical science that children need to be taught that you forget. And I don't want children to go to high school and say, I've never had any experience of this before, but things about, like making sure it's a fair test. So, right, we're not going to make sure we put the same amount in each. We're going to make sure it's the same conditions, use the same materials, all of that. And then, you know, the whole idea of hypothesis and all of that sort of scientific requirement in a practical sense. I think that's something I really want to try and focus in on and include more, even if it's not specifically a science topic. If I can intertwine it somehow through other aspects of the curriculum, it's something I'd really like to do. It's just something I've not done that often.
Do you know, I think that we lost that in COVID. I think we lost a lot of things. And do you know that kind of hands-on practical stuff, because you had to wash everything, you had to clean it all, you had a lot of stuff we weren't allowed to do. Remember we had to wipe the iPads every time you used them?
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember that? And it just like ruined the iPads. That was like the worst thing
all the
ever.
labels fell off. That's also something I need to do in the new year, is print everybody new labels for iPads. Because,
already?
Oh no, my iPad, my teacher iPad, the label is brown. Like, it's yellow. It's disgusting. I was looking at it today and I went, I touch this every day, and I know it's my own germs because
why is it brown?
I don't know. I've obviously put it down in like on coffee or something. I don't know. It's disgusting. Coffee. I was like, oh, I need to print new labels, but also the kids peel off all the
Mine's
labels. Oh.
So yeah, I think we lost that maybe because we weren't allowed to do all that practical stuff, and we just maybe not picked up to the extent that we once had it, or maybe we were just thinking through rose-tinted spectacles. I don't know.
There's so many easy, like, I don't like using the word easy. I should not have said that. Sorry, the banned word. It's more straightforward. There's so many more straightforward, or there's so many straightforward things, I should say, that you can do with practical science that I just think would teach such good key skills, even just for a bit of resilience. Do you know, like, okay, it's not always going to go the way you want it. Like, you got those little puzzles.
Oh, I love them.
Which I love that. And I think I want to just integrate little things like that for more skills learning, rather than always being curriculum. Do you know, like, what are you learning to do? Oh, I'm learning some long multiplication. Like, that's great. That's brilliant. You need to know how to do that. But really thinking, like, what are you actually, like, what's your skill here? And, you know, we do it with our success criteria. When I'm building my success criteria with them, I always underline the verb. Like, I always say, right, analyze, identify, create. What do these three things mean? And we talk about it, but I'd like to do something that's a bit more context free, but focuses on key skills, that general building of a person, because I do think it's maybe not your job specifically as a teacher to build up all of those skills, but I think it's important. In such an
easy way like that, the way you mentioned there, you'll have seen them probably if anyone's listening. You'll have seen these little puzzles. I hope there's
someone listening.
If anyone's anyone out there, hello.
If anyone's listening, 2 people. Did you make it to this point? Congratulations.
If anyone's thinking about sponsoring, we don't just have 2 listeners, by the way. We can send your stats. Anyway, I got my class these, and you can get a couple of them, but I decided to get them all one. And they have, I don't know how to explain it, little plastic pieces that you have to fit back in.
It looks like Tetris.
It's almost like Tetris,
like
you have to fit them back in a certain way, and they go in. There's 160 ways you can do it, but it take, like, the children, it's all trial and error. So you empty them out.
They all come out in a different way, don't they?
You shake it up, and then you shake it up and everything. You have to put them all back in the same way. They're getting it now, though, because we've talked about strategies and things and trial and error, and failing with one piece, you put it out, you take another, and all this stuff. And we do it as like a morning starter, or if they finish their work really quickly. Not really quickly, if they're finished their work and their tasks, and then they can take out noise level. It's not great, to be honest, so sometimes I do have to tell them to just put them away, because you can hear them like clicking away, but the children are obsessed with them. Also a bit of competition in the class, like there's a wee bit of like,
a healthy competition.
I managed to do it, and if they manage to do it, they come and show me. But it teaches trial and error. It teaches that they fail all the time doing it. Like, some of them have never managed to do it yet, and they've had it for like 3 months. But they still want to do it. They still want to try it. They still want to try it. So it's teaching a little bit of resilience, so you can build it.
But then that drips into everything else. This is like the conversation we had in the maths episode with Craig Lowther, who was talking about how the kind of mathematical concept you're focusing on, and then you add context to it, and they're like, what bridge? I've never been to that bridge. Where's this bridge? How high is the bridge? How long is the bridge? Is it too windy to go over the bridge? Like, they've got all these questions in their head, and I always think about that, because my thing in maths is always problem solving skills are just, and the resilience and numeracy is just not there. It's not. And my method was, we've done them before, and they're great. The maths trios are great, but there's a lot of context in that. So, it's maths trios to do with, right, around a table and you've got 24 sweets and playing cards and all of that. But actually, when I'm thinking about problem solving, I should be doing something like that. Or I should be doing something really straightforward that has no context to it. It's not got a numeracy context, it's not got a literacy context, it's not got any context. The skill we are focusing on is problem solving.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, they can't get along, the teamwork. And I'm not saying that about my class, I'm just saying general things. Teachers would say the teamwork isn't there. They fall out with each other all the time. But then all the teamwork things that we do have a context to them. So actually they're focusing on the number side of things, or they're focusing on the sentence writing, or they're focusing on this, or they're working in a group, but they're focusing on their PowerPoint and their slides and creating all of that. They're not focusing on teamwork. Yeah. That's not their skill. So I think I want to focus on those kind of actual skills, context-free skills. And I think practical science is a good way to do that if it's not related to a topic. Yeah. It's something that's still engaging, but it kind of, maybe there's not huge context to it, but it is going to teach those skills rather than focusing on the context. Teach health and well-being with confidence with Happy Healthy You, a health and well-being resource designed specifically for Curriculum for Excellence. With editable lesson plans, PowerPoints and resources, Happy Healthy You provides teachers with everything they need for a comprehensive health and well-being approach across the school. Topics are built up progressively and are an age-appropriate level for all of your learners. Visit leckyscotland.co.uk to request a sample for your school.
You can also save 20% off your purchase by using the code INSIDEVOICES. If you've been enjoying listening to the podcast, please leave a 5-star positive review wherever you listen. You've got some big kind of things coming up this year with professional stuff. You're doing your masters. Slowly but surely. She started her masters when I first came. She's still going.
I don't know. I'm now really close to finishing it, but I'm like, I don't have
How many years has it taken you? Like 4?
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
It's not. And at the start, I was like, I'm only going to do 1 module a year because I don't really want to do any more than that. And
I actually don't know how you've kept up with it, to be honest. I would have packed it in.
I don't know how I've done it either, to be honest.
Like essays and stuff after leaving university, no thanks.
I know. I don't know why. I don't know.
The minute I submitted my last essay at university, in my head I went, thank goodness I never have to do that again.
You'll never see this face again. Bacon is good for me.
That's such a niche video.
She thinks she's cool in those little high heels. What was his name?
I can't imagine. But yeah, the minute I submitted that last essay, I was like, thank goodness I never have to do that again. But you've been sitting doing essays for the last 4 years to get this master's.
That's a bad idea.
What have you got to do? What, dissertation?
Yeah, that's it.
And that's it, you've got your master's?
Yeah.
We could have like a little master's celebration on an episode or something when you get it. We could have like a little graduation.
Now the pressure's on to actually finish it. Me when I'm like, I'm just going to be a podcaster instead.
Well, what other things have you got coming up? So we've got Masters is coming up towards the end of the year. What's that, like summer or something?
Yeah.
In January, we are going to the BET conference.
Yes.
Excited.
This month. Well, this month by the time this goes out.
This month.
This is going to be so exciting. I think this is a good way to do all of those things we were just talking about because there's so much going on.
Right, wait a second. Take a step back. What are we going to?
The BET show. So the BET show, it's a 3-day show down in London, and it's
London, baby.
I know. Who would have thought, huh? It's an ed tech show, and I think it's the world's biggest ed tech event.
Don't quote me on that.
So no, it definitely. You can quote me on it. It is.
Okay.
It's the world's largest ed tech event. So obviously they've got a hall with like loads of companies and things you can go and look at and things, people that you can speak to about getting into schools and all of that. So like Microsoft are there, Google are there, like everyone's there. Yeah. But there's also the table talks, which is kind of like speed dating for teachers.
Yeah,
so you go in and there's like a question focus on for that table talk, and you move around the room and you discuss this question with a whole bunch of people, some who are really experts in that field. You could learn and that is my kind of information delivery. I just said earlier, I'm not a great learner. When it's like a whole day of something, my brain shuts off after like a couple hours. I'm like, it's full, no more room. Like that quick, teach me what I need to know in 3 minutes.
Yep.
Brilliant. I like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't have the attention span for a full day sort of
Do you know?
seminar.
Do you know what I'm really looking forward to? Obviously, we're going down for the 3 days: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
We're going to go down, stay in a hotel, might catch a show or something, do a bit of sightseeing in London. That's all going to be great, obviously. Love London. But some of the guest speakers.
Yes.
Louis Theroux.
Unreal.
What's this? The Jiggy. What is the song?
The Jiggy.
The Jiggy Jiggy. What?
The Jiggy Jiggy.
I like the Jiggle Jiggle.
My money don't
My
jiggle
money don't
jiggle.
jiggle jiggle. Yeah, that's the guy. Jiggy
Yeah.
Jiggy.
Jiggy Jiggy. He's all right. You all right?
No, I couldn't remember what it was.
And then the tech user labs as well. They're going to be so useful.
Yeah, so I was actually looking
We need
at
to get booked into them,
our
actually.
itinerary. Yeah, I was actually looking at the itinerary for some of them, and a lot of them are to do with like AI.
Yes,
And I think
that's going to be a big
Yep.
part of it. But like, it'll be nice to speak to people who are sharing that in a kind of positive but
Yeah.
very realistic way. I feel like when you mention AI, you get people who are like dead set against it, like no chance. They're taking over all these things. It's not safe. It's not safe. But to go and listen to people who are going to come from like a kind of be able to see it from both sides and
Yep.
give us quite a realistic view. I'm really excited for that. I think this is going to be one of those ways that you can really help improve your teaching. It's one of those things that, like I said, I don't want to be stagnant in my teaching. I want to always be learning.
Totally.
That's definitely going to help me do
I
that.
fully think I'm going to come back with a lot of ideas I actually might just be able to implement
just
in the
integrate
classroom.
straight away.
But also, what was I going to say? There was something you mentioned there. AI, tech user labs. Oh my goodness.
My
that's
money
terrible.
don't jiggle jiggle.
My money don't jiggle jiggle. That wasn't it. Michael Rosen's going as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. The best thing about it is teachers get tickets for free.
Yeah.
So if you want to like sign up, you can just sign up. We'll
Yeah.
be there. You can come say hi. We will have worked on how to respond to that.
I will not say to you, I'm doing the Macarena and then Macarena away from you. That would be really weird.
She actually
Also,
did that to
in a
someone on the
public.
Christmas night out. She macarenaed away from
Can you
them.
imagine a public situation? I'm like,
I'm doing the
Macarena.
Macarena.
Macarena out the situation.
So it is, yeah, it's like free for educators, which is amazing because
Yeah.
it's like a full 3 day. You can come
Yeah,
to the
and
Wednesday,
do you know-
come to the Thursday, come to Friday, it doesn't
That's
matter.
so good to see people value education in that way.
Yeah.
Like knowing you're at the heart of this.
Exactly.
Come on in.
100%. So yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, it's going to be a busy year with a lot of different things happening. That's just one of them. And who knows what else is going to happen. Other guests we might have on the podcast, like people that we've kind of reached out to that we're looking forward to
there's
talking
one coming
to.
out next week that's very exciting.
Super exciting.
Yes.
And you might have seen some clips already online of it, but that's fine. Like we've been kind of promoting it a little bit. So yeah, lots of things happening this year. It's going to be a busy year, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Inside Voices. Come back next week where we're going to be interviewing Jamie Gilbert, or Mr. G, on TikTok, where we talk to him about learners with ADHD. And remember, in here, we use our inside voices.